It is transfer deadline day, and as my graphic indicates, we are less than an hour away from that deadline slamming shut and the transfer window closing for another January/February. Welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. I hope you are all well. It is time for our deadline day evening update. I am here with you all the way through until just after 6:45 this evening, and then I'll part ways with you for the end of this January transfer window, where a lot is still happening, surprisingly, for West Ham, and it all relates to one player. It's Axel Disasi. We're going to get into all of that very, very shortly. You have to bear with me tonight. I'm on my own, and there is plenty going on and plenty to keep an eye on. So stick with us right here on West Ham Unofficial, the only place to be on transfer deadline day. Before we go any further, there's a poll in the live chat. Are you happy with West Ham's transfer window so far? Yes or no? Have a little gander at that poll if you're watching live, and have a little vote for your feelings there. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Axel Disasi, as some are calling him, Axel Disasi the Disaster. Is he going to join West Ham? Currently, none of us have a clue. We are none the wiser. So, The Athletic have reported in the last 10 minutes that West Ham is still hopeful of signing Axel Disasi on loan from Chelsea. The 27-year-old centre-back has been a long-standing target for West Ham in this window, but club sources say there are a number of hurdles. I repeat, club sources say there are a number of hurdles that have caused delays over a deal being finalised. Then go to Jacob Steinberg of The Guardian. I think he has said in the last 10 minutes that there's still doubts over whether the deal is going to be completed or not. He is having his medical, but we just simply don't know at this stage. Sean Whetstone on Twitter, he has said Axel Disasi's medical is confirmed and is underway. West Ham remain highly optimistic of signing him and getting the deal sheet in before the 7 p.m. deadline, but they say there are still some hurdles to overcome. So the big sort of line throughout the media, throughout West Ham sources at the moment, is that there are still a lot of hurdles to overcome in the next 57 minutes and 3,430 seconds of this January transfer window. We simply just don't know. This is going to be it. There's going to be no other players. The only player that is going to sign for West Ham in the next hour is Axel Disasi. There is nothing else on the table. It's basically Disasi or bust for West Ham, and that is what we are currently dealing with. And I will multitask like the man I am, and I will search through the social media and get you any updates over the next 50 minutes if I can. We do have, that is very true, Michael. Adedeli has joined Utrecht. Sullivan selling our future, a player that has been highly regarded in the youth setup. He has gone to Utrecht on deadline day, which was a bit of a shock for some people. Barry says if Disaster doesn't want to sign, he is not up to the fight, which is very true. Barry, I think you're absolutely right with that. If he doesn't want to come, then we don't want him, to be honest. And I really do hope he wants to come, and I hope that he's going to be decent for us. But this whole stuttering and stammering with the deal is just not filling me with a great deal of confidence at the moment. I'll be totally honest, because, for a player that hasn't played for Chelsea in, what was it, over a year, I think he hasn't. I think he's played a couple of under 21 games, but he hasn't had a good run in the league for well over a year. I think it was January the last time that Disasi played in the Premier League, and that's January of 2025 that I'm talking about, not the January that has just gone. So, is he really the man for the job? Really? Is he what we want? I'm, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. And as it says there, we've got 3,323 seconds left of this January transfer window. And it seems like, again, we're now getting confirmed that we've put all of our eggs into this Disasi basket. And I cannot get my head round why we have done that. It just seems really naive. But then again, we've got to remember who we're dealing with here, and it's David Sullivan and West Ham United. So, of course, we need the centre half. We're well aware of that, but it seems like at this point it is still very much up in the air and in the balance whether we do get him signed for West Ham. So Utrecht, an exclusive for Fabrizio Romano, and just before 5 o'clock this evening was Utrecht have agreed a deal to sign Amika Adiele on a 4-year deal from West Ham. The player attracted interest from Borussia Dortmund and Juventus, but opted for Utrecht with first team football as the priority, which is fair enough. I say we all want first team football. Some of us are never gonna reach that peak, but it's fair enough if he wants to be starting week in, week out. He has gone over to Utrecht and has signed on a 4-year deal. So look, this is going to be an interesting final 54 minutes, isn't it? You know what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. It's all up in the balance, and I've got a feeling if this Disasi deal doesn't get done in the next hour, then there's going to be some pretty unsavory comments from West Ham fans in real life on social media. And as we head to Burnley on Saturday, it just seems like once again another situation where we tried and we gave it a go, and we simply need this centre back, and it feels really significant. And the fact that there's nobody else we're working on, this is it. As I said, it's Disasi or bust. There's nobody else even on the table. We've had that confirmed from reputable club sources that it is Axel Disasi. We've sacked off Harwood Bellis. Anybody else? The goalkeepers have been forgotten about. Don't know why we were even thinking about signing a goalkeeper to start with in this window, but we've just got to hope that everything can fall into place and the player wants to sign for the club. I mean, listen, we can infer and suggest that he wants to come, otherwise he wouldn't have went and done the medical. I did find it mildly amusing when X reported about half an hour ago that Disasi is actually doing his medical at a nearby hospital. They're not quite gonna, they're not quite gonna spring the Rush Green facilities onto him yet. Maybe they were thinking that, blimey, he's not going to come now. If he sees Rush Green, then he's even less likely to come. So the medical is being conducted at a nearby London hospital, and apparently there's still some paperwork and logistics and complications to complete in this remaining time. Listen, we are fully against the clock here. All this paperwork, it all needs to be done, completed, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours by 7 o'clock. If the paperwork isn't in, then he is not going to be a West Ham player, and we are left with Kilman on Saturday at Burnley. That is my main issue at this moment in time. Let's have a little look here. Good evening. I hope you are well, Mum. Breaking news: West Ham made a deadline day signing. It's a new tea lady. He's going to inspire the team. That's what we like to hear. Sullivan is not signing anyone. Asset stripping for the Championship, and it's sad, Barry, isn't it? Really. You'd think. I said this on the show earlier on. You'd think that it would be within his best interests to sign players and to give us every single chance of staying up. Because if Sullivan wants to sell the club next year, then he's going to sell it for significantly less than he is now, because we'll be in the Championship and the club's value will tank. So surely, even for him, in his bewildering mind, it must spring and go, you know what, if I put a bit more money in here and we sign a couple of decent players in this window, then we might have enough to keep us up, and that might be the difference. But you signed a couple of strikers, and when it comes to it on deadline day, we've known we needed centre backs for ages, right? We've needed centre backs since August. Since we made that panic buy of Igor on deadline day back in August, we've needed a centre back, and we've just gone round in one vicious circle whereby we sold a Gerd. We sold a Gerd in the summer. We panic bought Igor. He barely played for us. We've now got rid of Igor, and now we're panic buying again in the 11th hour of deadline day. Honestly, they will never ever learn. They'll never learn. As long as these people are in charge of our football club, then nothing is going to change. Why are we sat here on deadline day begging and praying in the 11th hour that West Ham sign a centre back that hasn't played Premier League football in over a year, in 15 months? It's ridiculous. He can't get a game for love nor money at Chelsea. He's not even getting in the squad. He's training separately. Maresca didn't like him. Rosinha quite clearly hasn't warmed to him because he's not being involved. And you've got a player that barely wants to come to the club. It sounds like there's got to be some real convincing going on here. Otherwise, it would be done already. So we're having to convince somebody that hasn't played first team football in 15 months to come to the club on deadline day as a last chance saloon. This transfer window is a month long. Can somebody tell the hierarchy at West Ham that the transfer window isn't just on deadline day? We can do deals for centre backs all throughout the month, and we probably get a better deal because everybody now knows that we are desperate. And if this deal falls through in the next 50 minutes and we're frantically trying to rummage around and find somebody, then we've got no chance. It's not going to happen. No way, Jose. You know, they can bypass medicals and just get the paperwork in and get a player signed, but it's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen. So, heaven forbid this deal does fall through and we're left with three able centre backs, and that's being polite to Kilman, really, calling him able, because you've got Mavropanos, you've got Tadiba, who's out for 3 games. It could go up to 5 or 6 if we're honest. That suspension could be increased after his stupid outburst at the end at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. Then you've got Kilman, who I think I'm being kind when I say he's able. To be honest, he is not what we need in a relegation battle. He can't trap a ball. He is poor, and all of a sudden we're circling around this circle of doom where it's not looking good. It's really not looking good. Never a true word said. He's in the NHS Newham General, according to Barry. There we are. King George's. Hit that like button if you haven't already and get involved with that poll in the live chat. It's a convincing no to that at the moment, which does not surprise me one bit. I think he's sticking his fingers up to the supporters. I think you're probably right, Barry, to be honest. But, he's a bit dumb if he is, because he's just making himself worse off in the grand scheme of things. Maybe he's not going to sell the club at all. I mean, that's a sort of possibility here. Maybe he's gonna cling on until it rots and dies, and that's the way the football club's going, unfortunately. When we've got antics like this and when our recruitment is more than laughable, and this just further reinforces it today. Our recruitment over the last few years is the reason why we're in this mess, and today elevates it even further. Laughing stock. We're a complete and utter laughing stock. Any sensible, competent club would have all their business done before they even woke up this morning. But instead, we're frantically rummaging around, trying our hardest to sign a player, as I said, that is fallen well out of favour for Chelsea. A bit more information on the youngster. FC Utrecht have completed the signing of academy player Emeka Adiele. He's 18 years old. He signed a 4-year deal. He's comfortable at left back and left wing back. He is described as a quick, dynamic player who's shown versatility by performing both in defence and attacking positions. He had a scholarship with West Ham penned in ahead of the 23-24 season, and he contributed heavily in the season before for the under-16s. His professional contract with the Hammers followed his 17th birthday ahead of the 24-25 season. He made his Premier League 2 debut back in April 2024 in a 2-0 win over Norwich. He transitioned up to the under-21s. Mark Robson kickstarted the season with 5 consecutive wins, where Adiele scored a first-half brace in a win against Chelsea. So obviously a player with a little bit about him, and he's left. He has gone to Utrecht on a permanent deal for 4 years. So that's really the only transfer news that we are fully aware of at this moment in time that we think is going to go through, because, as I said, this Axel Disasi move is well and truly up in the air, and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the transfer strategy leaves not a lot to be desired for. There's a lot of there's a lot of apathy on Twitter at the moment as I scroll down and try and search for some more updates with it. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good that we found ourselves in this position. And regardless of whether Disasi really signs now, I don't think it particularly. Listen, of course it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, nothing's going to change whilst they're in charge. This will just happen in the summer when we need players and we leave it till the end and try and do it on the cheap. And you can just see. You can see that the excuses, they have been, the sort of foundations have been laid for the excuses already. The right sources have been fed the information regarding, it's a tough market. It's hard to get. Nobody wants to come because we're in a relegation battle, and that will massively feed into this narrative here because there's been stalling from Disasi today, we think. And that will massively be played into the narrative if the deal falls through, that we couldn't get him in because no one wants to play in a relegation battle and we're probably going to go down, and players have got to pay players have to take a 50% wage cut in the championship next season and all the rest of it. So, they've laid the patio, right? And they're going to get the grass on top of it, right? And they're going to lay it all out and expect us all to soak it all up. We have in the past, but I've got a feeling this time's going to be different. Those red cards there was very few who weren't holding them up inside Stamford Bridge on Saturday evening. It was unanimous, it was overarching, it was damning, and it has been for the last couple of away games. There was barely a West Ham fan in the house who wasn't holding up a no more BS card, and I think it's the most pure and frank representation that you can have, that this fan base is sick to the back teeth of it. Time after time after time again, this transfer strategy is baffling, and we do not learn a bit from any of it. And that is the most frustrating thing of all. This happens twice a year, every year, and has happened for half a decade. You can count back as far as you like under Sullivan, and they will never change. They won't change, and exactly that will be what gets put out. And it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if this deal falls through. We'll see David Sullivan on Talksport tomorrow morning in a sort of similar way as after we won the Conference League back in 2023. The morning after, we were all trying to enjoy a moment of history, and David Sullivan was on Talksport basically telling the country that we've got to sell Declan Rice no matter what. And I've got a feeling that they could have a similar Simon Jordan, Jim White, David Sullivan interview tomorrow, saying, we tried, and there's nothing we could have done about it. We're in a relegation battle and we could go down. And there's only one person who's at the heart and soul of this, and who's got to ship most of the blame, and it's the man right at the top. It's David Sullivan, it's Karen Brady. They've got to take it. Right. So West Ham are still hopeful for a deal can go through from Rashane Thomas from the Athletic. As we said, there's a number of hurdles to go through. Jacob Steinberg, there is doubt whether there is enough time to get the deal done. That is the newest line we've received from Jacob Steinberg, reputable Guardian West Ham journalist. There is, there is still doubt whether we can get this deal done in time, but it's okay. We only had a month. We didn't have much time to do it, really. It was only a month that West Ham had. And as we sat here now with that clock ominously ticking down next to me, 42 minutes or 2,550 seconds is all that is left for West Ham to sign Axel Disasi, to get a sort of last chance saloon centre back into the club. Listen, we still need another one. That's what people are saying. We still need another centre back apart from Disasi. We're not going to get one. We've got three at the moment. Tadibo out for 3 to 5 games. Kilman's useless, so discard him and Tadibo for the next month. Leaves us Mavropanos and Disasi if we get him. If one of them gets injured, we are, and I've said it for weeks, we're a couple of injuries away from an absolute disaster. It could be a Disasi disaster. It could be just a complete disaster, is what it could be for West Ham over the next few weeks. A couple of injuries is all it will take, and it won't be a sinking ship in the Titanic. It will be a tanking ship going straight to the bottom of the ocean. We have set ourselves up into this situation, and we have made our bed, and unfortunately we're going to have to lay in it now, because time after time after time we have got recruitment so remarkably wrong, and we are paying the ultimate price for it now, regardless of whether we sign Disasi or not. He could come and be brilliant. Listen, I'm not going to pass judgment on the guy. I don't think I've ever seen him play football. He's been at Chelsea for about 3 years, and I think he's played about 3 games, but that tells you a little bit about the player, but it also tells you the desperation that we are currently witnessing from the West Ham hierarchy, that is the only hope that we currently have. What has happened to our football club? Seriously, what has happened to it? Let's take some comments. Deadline day, you get overrated crap at inflated prices. I couldn't put it better myself. Sullivan will want no buys being 250 million in debt. Who wants that? Exactly. The club's a mess, right? And everybody knows it. The club is in a complete and utter mess. And who's going to want to buy into that? I certainly wouldn't. Not that, of course, I have the funds to do so, but there we are. Sullivan banning supporters for banners also, that is a whole other story, yes. I think a defender will be signed. Should have been 2 weeks ago, but the board know relegation costs more than any player. As you said, Sam, it should have been done a long time ago. It should have been done the same week as we signed Tati and Pablo. It's really not difficult. These scouts should have been out, and we should have had a list of 5, and one of them should have been through the door by the middle of January. By the time we played Spurs a couple of weeks ago, we should have had another centre back at the club. A competent and able and willing football club would have got that done. Us, No. We signed the 2 strikers, we went to sleep for 2 weeks, and then we woke up momentarily to sign Traore because it was starting to look a bit wobbly, and now we've woke up again on deadline day, and or just before deadline day, and put in a loan bid and a 12 million bid for Harwood Bellis, which got us absolutely nowhere. And now we're scrambling, more than my scrambled egg on deadline day to try and sign Axel Disasi. Put him on the list. Absolutely. We need 4 players today. We might get 1. And that's what sums it up, right? That is exactly what's I couldn't have put it better myself. We need 4 players today. We haven't replaced Paqueta, by the way. Paqueta left the club for 36 million pounds and we haven't replaced him. We need a midfielder or 2. We need a winger and we need 2 centre backs. You're looking at 3, 4, 5 players that we need here. And we might just about by a whisker get 1 player. Sums it up. Sums it up. Jake, what do you think about Strand Larsen to Palace for 48 million? I think this is the big deadline day story, isn't it? Because it's a sort of chain which impacts a lot of clubs. Because I think Mateta was going to Milan, but that's all fallen through. So now Strand Larsen's not going to go to Palace because they're going to keep Mateta. And I think Wolves were going to get Armstrong or something, but that's now fallen through because of the stuff and factors that have gone before it. So that's been the deadline day madness, and West Ham are pottering along in a London hospital trying to get everything secured and done to sign a centre back that hasn't played for 2 years. Well done, West Ham. Never change, never change. Right, I'm going to do a little refresh. Right, okay, we've got a report from Jack Rosser, who is a Sun journalist. He's the football reporter for the Sun. He has said Axel Disasi has completed his medical with a deal to West Ham finally progressing. His results are now being checked. Well, by my clock, they want to check him a bit quicker, to be honest. So that is coming out of the Sun this evening. We are hearing that the it's been a long day. We're hearing that the medical has been done and that the results are being checked. That is what we are hearing currently. We've got a couple of sources coming out of France. Fabrice Hawkins has said the medical examination is done as well. Loan deal worth 2 million euros. The defender is leaving to join West Ham until the end of the season. So, I mean, this is something that we haven't discussed yet. That this is just a straight loan till the end of the season. Nothing sparks desperation more than a straight loan in January until the summer. So there's no obligation, there's no option as far as we're aware. We're hearing it's a straight loan, and that is what's going to happen for Disasi to come to West Ham. No more complications than that, but I've got a feeling that we have got a few twists, turns left to go. I mean, we haven't got to announce it by 7 o'clock. Let's just stress that now, because this is a common misconception amongst football fans. You know, if it's not announced by 7 o'clock, then it still might be done. The paperwork just has to be filed and sent to the Premier League and the FA by 7 o'clock. So we can announce it 4:30 tomorrow afternoon if we want, but the paperwork has to be done and filled in and completed and agreed between the 2 clubs and the FA and the Premier League by 7 p.m. And by my clock, we are 36 minutes away from that deadline. And breathe. Just have a drink a minute. Right then, let's take some of your comments, shall we? Where did I get to here? Right, let's have a look here. If Disasi does not sign, this might be the biggest bottle job in recruitment for a certain position in our history. It's just shameful. It is. It is, Vinny. You're right, mate. You're absolutely right. Well, we've had all month, and we've knew all month that we needed needed a centre back or 2. You could argue probably needed 2. To be scrambling, as I said, on the 11th hour of deadline day is a shambles, a complete shambles. But there we go. We are just used to it by now, aren't we? Question from Michael. What are the other board members doing, letting their investments plummet? Exactly. Well, I don't think Daniel Kretinsky has too much say over it. I think he's a pretty solid investor. You've got David Sullivan and Karen Brady steering the ship pretty poorly at the top, you could argue. And I don't think anybody else has a particular say because they've got the majority and what they say goes, I think. And that's what it is, right? We've got an update from the West Ham way. West Ham are closing in on signing Disasi. It's been reported, yeah. So we're just waiting for another update from somebody reputable to hear whether these medical examinations have been successful and whether the final hurdles that we're hearing have been overcome before this deadline. But they still remain hopeful. But I mean, we haven't had this for a while. We haven't had this for a while. It's been, the last few The last few transfer windows, everything's been done. We just haven't signed anyone. That's essentially what it's been. But this one is actually down to the wire, and I will stay with you as long as I can. But the Premier League Roundup show will be here at 7 o'clock, so I'll be very swiftly switching over to that and be joined by Josh and Sean to have instant reaction to all of the deadline day and all of the Premier League action for the weekend. Then after 7 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, Sam's going to join me. We're going to have a little review over all of West Ham's transfer business this month. So a busy evening for me. I've just got to work out how I'm going to get my pizza eaten within the next 3 hours. Which gap am I going to take? I think it's after the Premier League Roundup show, but you have to stay tuned to see if that happens. Right, let's have a look here. Mandy, according to a breaking report, West Ham sensation Adiele has agreed a 4-year deal. He has. Despite interest from Juve and Borussia Dortmund, he's decided and he's opted for first team football and gone to Utrecht instead. 40 million for Paqueta. We had to get Disasi on loan. Like, what are we doing? Absolutely. I echo your thoughts. We had all that money come in and we've let so many players go. And there's still a chance that we might not even sign a centre back. So at the moment, we're hearing that Disasi to West Ham is looking like a deal sheet situation, and it's literally down to the wire. Can we get it in? I think we can ask for an extension. I'm not sure how long that extension is, whether it's 5 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, or whatever. But I think there is some leeway and consideration that is normally given to deals, but we just don't know at this rate, and it would be very West Ham if we just didn't apply for the extension and just admitted defeat, wouldn't we? But it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. So the other mad transfer business is that Mateta was going to AC Milan and now he's not. So that's mental. That's mental. But before we carry on, because I'm expecting we're going to have a little bit of an update and an information in the next few minutes or so, let's have a little look at the transfer window for West Ham. So incomings, we've signed Tati, we've signed Pablo and Traore. We've got that geezer on loan, but I think he's a youth player more than anything else. So the aim in this window, and I'd like to stress that Nuno said at the start of the month, at the start of January, that we need players in, we need to rebalance the squad and go again. So this is what rebalancing the squad looks like. 3 players in, 2 strikers and a winger. Going out, Fulkrug, Guilherme, Marshall, Earthy, Irving, Rodriguez, Ward-Prowse and Paqueta. If that's rebalancing a squad, then I'm a millionaire. And I can assure you I'm not. It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We've let go 4 midfielders in Irving, Rodriguez, Ward-Prowse and Paqueta. And there's not even been a conversation or rumour today about signing a midfielder. Fine, we've got Potts and Magassa. But after that whole debacle in the second half against Chelsea on Saturday, it looks like the Nuno isn't too much of a fan of Magassa or Potts, or he would have put one of them on instead of flipping Max Kilman at the end, or with half an hour to go at Stamford Bridge. We need a midfielder. We're not going to get one. We need a couple of centre backs. We might get one, and we probably need a winger, in my opinion, and we're not going to get one either. So all in all, it has been a disaster. And this was my fear from the get go. That fear was sort of weakened when we signed those 2 strikers at the start of the month, but we're actually going to end up with a weaker squad than we started January with, which is lunacy. I mean, how have we let this happen? How has the Premier League Football Club been allowed to let this to happen? It's ridiculous. Charlie Creswell would have been a good signing, absolutely. It was about 20 million. We could have got him and another midfielder for about 10 or 15, but no, we can't do that because that makes sense, Vinny. Because that's logical. Now we don't deal with logic; we deal in lunacy at West Ham, and that's exactly what it has become. Brian says, let's just be happy Sully didn't sell Bowen, Somerville and Fernandez. They'll be the first ones out of the door in the summer because we're probably going to be relegated and they won't be taking a 50% wage cut, will they? Paqueta and Guilherme money paid for Tati and Pablo. You could argue it did, yeah, but we still need more players and we shouldn't have let those other players go if we weren't going to bring them in. It's complete negligence. It is suicide from West Ham. When will journalists start to question Nuno more deeply and do a deep dive on the owners? I mean, look, I can't see it happening. They can't stick it on them too much because otherwise they might get banned. But at the end of the day, they need to be held accountable, and it's probably not Nuno because Nuno was very vocal at the start of the month when he said, "We need to rebalance this squad. We need players, we need midfielders, we need defenders," and it's not been delivered to him. And whether Nuno's been picky over his players or this has just been David Sullivan, then I guess we'll find out. But I think we could all probably guess, couldn't we? But currently, at this moment in time, the outburst and annoyance on social media is just something that I have never seen before, to be honest. People are not happy. Then to add salt to the wound this afternoon, about 4 o'clock, it was reported by Claret and Hugh that David Sullivan had said, yep, that's our chairman, David Sullivan, had said that Axel Disasi is not easy to deal with as West Ham try to wrap up the signing by 7 p.m. tonight. That's according to Claret and Hugh. That's what he said. He has told his Claret and Hugh source that Axel Disasi is not easy to deal with. The one thing I hope is that Axel Disasi hasn't seen that tweet, because otherwise he could go balls to it and not bother, because it seems like at this stage he doesn't overly seem too keen or bothered to sign for West Ham, and it's not a good sign, is it? It's not a good sign at all. We have 14 first teamers at best, exactly, and we could argue quite a few of them aren't good enough. And yeah, we got rid of somebody Deadwood in this January transfer window, but we didn't replace it. I mean, I'd have rather we kept hold of Ward-Prowse and Irving and maybe even Rodriguez. If I knew we weren't going to replace them, fine. Midfield isn't the biggest problem here. Centre backs are, but it's still a problem. And we're a couple of injuries away from a complete catastrophe at the back. I should ask Nuno why he won't at least try Magastra at centre back. Well, I mean, that's the conundrum that Nuno faces on Saturday, regardless of whether Disasi signs in this remaining 28 minutes or 1600 seconds of this January transfer window. It Is he going to be fit? Is he going to be able to play? I'm not so sure. He hasn't played first team football since January 2025, so I can't really imagine Disasi is going to be match fit enough to just slot into the back line away at Burnley on Saturday. So is it a toss up between I mean, if it were me, I'd start Souček at centre back and bring Potts into midfield. But I'm not Nuno, and maybe he doesn't think like that. That would be my preference, but I've got a feeling he's going to go Kilman. He's just going to go, you know what, I've got to do it and go Kilman. But Magassa and Souček are two oven-ready options to go straight into that, go straight into that backline, and they are better than Kilman. Kilman cannot trap a ball, right? He cannot trap a ball. Some of the misplaced passes that he made at Stamford Bridge on Saturday, it's a player that has got no confidence. Players have rock bottom confidence. He's below rock bottom. He's whatever's below the rocks at the bottom. That's where Max Kilman currently is. He cannot do anything right or anything at all competently, and he just needs to be taken out of it. We're in a relegation battle. We can't afford individual errors. Put Souček or Magastra in there, because putting Kilman there is the definition of insanity by Einstein, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. It is stupid, absolutely stupid. Right, I'm expecting an update very soon from somebody. It's been a couple of minutes, so one of the sources is going to come out and give us something. West Ham have just officially confirmed that Emeka Adiele has joined FC Utrecht on a permanent transfer. That in the last 60 seconds has been uploaded onto the West Ham website. They have just wished him all the very best and thanked him for his contributions over the years. He is an England under-18 international, a left back. He joined the under nines for the Academy of Football in 2016 and signed a scholarship in 2023. So Emeka Adiele, a young West Ham player who's been at the club since age 9, he has left the club and joined FC Utrecht on a 4-year permanent deal, and that has been confirmed on this deadline day. Now, that is not the post we wanted to see from West Ham, but I still feel like we are quite a way off a Disasi announcement. That is my gut instinct at this moment in time. We are leaving it a bit late, that's for sure. Listen, whether we're going to get this centre half or not, whether it's Disasi or not, it's been a disaster. And there's no two ways about that. We just got to hope that he can get over the line, and we can get it done. Listen, he's not a player that has played for Chelsea at all. He has basically been a spare part who has done nothing. He's been at the club for, I think, 3 years at least, and barely strung a you know, sort of run of appearances together, not even off the bench. Oh dear me, been a long day. Not even off the bench has he come on and played for the club. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Souček would be Dawson clone at centre back, just throw himself in front of everything, and that's exactly what we need. It would then facilitate Hots to come into midfield, which would give us a bit more legs and mobility in there. But then we don't lose his physicality from corners and set pieces and those sort of areas and situations in games. I think that Souček is the option. You know, I'm going to make a video about. I'm even going to make a video about it before Saturday. That'll be a video uploaded onto the channel. So if you're watching this, then you've got first dibs on that because I just think that'll be such a better option than trying Kilman again and trying to expect a different result. Let's have a little look at our poll, shall we? We've had 28 votes on our poll. Are you happy with West Ham's transfer window? Yes, 17%. No, 83%. So if you're watching this live, whilst you're here, hit that like button if you haven't already. Whilst you're there, smash that like button. Have a little look at our poll and express your thoughts on whether you think West Ham have currently had a good transfer window. And we are yet to discover whether Axel Disasi will be the final recruit for the Hammers in this window. I am frantically refreshing my social media page whilst trying to talk at the same time and keep you all entertained right here on West Ham Unofficial. So keep with us and stick with us here. That is what I will say. So yeah, that is madness. So a bit of late news. The Crystal Palace have tabled a very late bid of £20 million for Dwight McNeil. He is still going. Wow. Dwight McNeil. No word yet from Everton, but that is what's coming out of Sky Sports on deadline day. Just doesn't feel the same without a bit of Jim White, yellow tie, and how on earth deadline day and the deadline is at 7 o'clock is beyond me. Like I want to still be here at 10:59 tonight. But no, that sort of luxury and opportunity has been swiped away from us. This should have been dramatic as you like up until 11 o'clock. We're all sat here in our pajamas waiting to see whether it happens. But no, we've got to have a 7 o'clock deadline. It's boring. It's boring, honestly. I don't like it at all. But listen, we're just sitting on our hands at the moment, waiting with 22 minutes left of this January transfer window. Will Axel Disasi become a Hammer? Will he not? That is what we are just sitting on our hands, waiting for at the moment. And this is good with the advent of social media, you know. And even in the last few years, how it's come on. Like we know there's 5 or 6 journalists that are at this moment in time currently looking at this deal. And we're going to get updates on it very, very shortly, you think. But look, it's a 6-month loan. It's €2 million. So put it to £1.5 million. It's risk free. He's played in the Premier League before, but he's not quite the Premier League experience that I'm after, to be honest. When I say Premier League experience, tick the box, I mean he's played like in the last 2 years in the Premier League, not just been not even part of the squad, which is what Disasi has been recently. So that's a major concern. So I don't think I'm putting a tick through the Premier League experience box because he's had very little of it and it's been very sporadic over a 3-year period, which probably will tell you a little bit about the quality of the player. Because if he was an actual decent, solid, composed centre back, he would probably have been in this Chelsea team more often because I mean, they are better defensively now, but in the last couple of years they have been rather ropey at the back. So again, that doesn't fill me with much confidence at all. So my breaking news graphic, as Michael is saying, breaking news. There is no breaking news as usual, but we're here and we're going to have a laugh about it on West Ham Unofficial. I'm going to have to depart you just before 7 o'clock, so we're not going to get the dramatic countdown together. I'm sorry, but Premier League Roundup show has to go on at 7 o'clock this evening. A very busy evening for us here on West Ham Unofficial. That is for sure. Vinny, we are so terrible. We couldn't even get him to the training ground for the medical, so we had to take him to some random hospital where it says everything. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I reckon they didn't want to show him Rush Green. I think someone said it in the chat earlier. I reckon they were so petrified that he was going to say, no, I don't want to sign for the club when he saw the porter cabins and state of the facilities at Rush Green. So they've played it safe and they've decided to do the final negotiations in a hospital whilst they do the medical. So he's going to be running on a treadmill with all like wired up doing his medical whilst they're saying, how much money do you want a week, Axel? Do you want any add-ons or pay by play bonus, or he needs going, I want this, I want 80 grand a week, I want 100 grand signing on bonus, I want this, I want that. And they're like, no, we can't give it to you. David's on the phone going, no, no, we're not giving him that much money. You can see it a mile off. It's like an episode of EastEnders that is going on in some hospital in the East End of London right now. If you don't laugh, you cry. Don't go to bed, Anthos. Indeed, indeed. Unfortunately, I'm not going to bed quite yet, but I do wish it was an 11 o'clock deadline, but it's not. Graham, hope you well. Another disastrous window, just as we have come to expect. Listen, that's echoed what I've said all day. Really, I did a video this morning very early, and I had a slight bit of optimism. It was all unraveling this afternoon whilst I was live on air. We had a load of you watching, and there was some pretty negative reports regarding this deal, and it's got a little bit better in the time we've come off air and come back on air, but your guess is as good as mine at the moment. I don't have any sources, only HP and Heinz. So we're in it together, people. We are in it together. But yeah, I'm shocked that there hasn't been an update from any reputable source in the last sort of 15 minutes or so. Yeah, I'm currently refreshing. Yeah, Sam, I'm currently refreshing my X feed as well. Uh, but it's not going too well. It's not going too well. One thing I will say, I've done this a long time. This doesn't happen very often. We don't usually take a deal down to the last minute, basically because we never really do deals, ever, to be honest. So this doesn't rarely happen. But in my 6 years experience of doing this, the longer there is no news, the worse news it is. So I'm not listen, I know nothing at this stage, but when people say no news is good news? In this current situation, no news is bad news for West Ham. Listen, it's just starting to concern me a little bit. The last update we got from a reputable source was about 20 minutes ago, and 20 minutes is a long time in the last final hour of deadline day. And look, as I said about 15 minutes ago, they can apply for an extension if we're wise and sensible, which could be debated. Um, if we're wise and sensible, we would have applied for a extension. I don't think we're going to. We should, but we know what West Ham are like, and we have followed this club long enough to know that we don't do anything the easy way on the pitch or off the pitch. So, yeah, as I said, no news is not good news at this current moment in time until we receive an update from somebody. Um, I'm a little bit okay. Here we go. Breaking news. This is coming out of Twitter with no corroboration. Axel Disasi move to West Ham is on the verge of collapsing due to player demands. West Ham are close to missing out on their deadline day signing. I don't know whether that is true. I'm going to clarify that right now so I don't get done for fake news. That has been said by somebody on Twitter, and they have said Sky have said it. I am not watching Sky. I do not have access to Sky on me right now, but apparently that is the current situation we're in. You know what I said about a minute ago? No news is bad news. That might have just corroborated that. We will wait to see. This will be a big 5 minutes now in West Ham season to see. This is a laughing stock to see whether that gets corroborated by anyone. And I am just frantically trying to talk and read at the same time and see if there's anything coming out of anywhere. But nobody's wanting it. I'm getting notifications for Jet2 holidays on my laptop. Honestly, I'd love to go on a holiday right now. Uh, but we are in a pretty serious situation, and I need to stop laughing because this is serious. But yeah, we don't know yet. There's how long's left? There's 16 minutes left, and we just don't know. And we just don't know. Honestly, if you're joining us now, thank you very much for joining us. This is quality content because I know as much as you right now, and I'm trying my best to multitask my way through it. I've also talked for 43 minutes straight, so just bear with me. And we'll go again. Before we go any further, it's time to have a little look at the poll. Where did we get up to? Right. If you're watching live, we're up to 35 votes. Let's get up towards 50. I can guarantee you there's 30 people watching this. I guarantee you at least 10 people haven't voted on the poll. Everyone in the live chat right now at the top of it, are you happy with West Ham's transfer window? Yes or no? Currently, it's an overwhelming no, and we will end that poll very shortly. So if you want to have your say, do it in the next 5 minutes or so before we wrap things up here on West Ham Unofficial. 15 minutes is all that's left of this 2026 January transfer window, even though we're in February. I know that. It's annoying, but we are where we are. Um, I'd rather it now, the deadline, than halfway through the game against Chelsea on Saturday. And we probably wouldn't have a centre back. We might still not have a centre back because nobody currently knows what's going on. Sam, if you're watching and you see anything, can you message it to me? Because I'm trying my very hardest, but I can't see everything. So if anybody hears anything, then please let me know, and I will to go continue to go through your comments. Right. Look at the crap Chelsea had on the pitch first half versus us, and he ain't good enough for them. Exactly. Exactly. I couldn't have put it better myself. I'm sorry, I'm going to sit back in my chair because my back's hurting. I'll bring the microphone with me. So if it's too loud or too quiet, then please let me know. But my back needs a rest. um, yeah, I mean, listen, if he couldn't have got in that starting lot or even in that squad when he was heavily rotated, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? You know, that massively speaks volumes for me. Just imagine a centre back that hasn't played for months and Kilman. Anthos, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? That is just sent shudders down my spine, to be honest. That is a sorry sight. That is a really sorry sight. The real issue is if they do not think we're going to go down the board, then why not sign championship proven centre backs? But yet we don't get a player on loan who doesn't even want to be here and hasn't started. It's a laughing stock, mate. It's an absolute laughing stock. Um, let's have a look here. Anthos, I think he's heard about the porter cabins at Rush Green. Exactly. That's why they've done the medical at some random hospital because they don't want him to see the porter cabins. I'm telling you right now. Count mine out, Jake. I voted sarcastically and I said yes. I do think there was quite a few people that did say yes. We're up to 37 votes and 19% have said yes. I don't know how many that is, but that's a few. Jake, the biggest joke of the day this window. Oi, that's horrible. That's horrible. I'm only trying my best. I'm only trying my best. But thank you for your polite criticism, Michael. Nah, all good. I mean, if you really want, I can get my joke book out internally, and I can tell a few jokes to end the transfer window. But I don't think anyone wants that. We're under a quarter of an hour away from deadline day, ending. Deary me, deary me. And West Ham are posting starting lineup graphics for the under 21s. Brilliant, brilliant. This is chaos. This is absolute chaos. This is where I need another screen. Right. Carve Solikol. Axel Disasi's loan move to West Ham could collapse because of the defender's demands. He has passed a medical. He has passed a medical, and he may not come to the club due to player demands. If we've got this far, we just as well pay him what he wants, to be honest. Listen, I'm not in the room. I don't know what's currently going on, but we just as well give him what he wants at this stage. You know, come on. Honestly, Kave Solikol, whether he's right or not, we're about to find out. But everybody is just frantically rummaging around the place, trying to find information. But there we go. Yeah, obviously our main source X, he's gone a little bit quiet. He did confirm about an hour ago that nobody's going to join the club or leave the club now, apart from Axel Disasi. But yeah, the last we heard is local hospital medical has been done, but there's still some hurdles to overcome, as we heard about half an hour ago, which is pretty tragic. Pretty tragic. We can give him Brady. Oh dear, honestly, no. Oh, I give up. Yeah, I suppose we could. Right, let's set the microphone back up. I give my back a rest. All good, because I'm a bit of an old man. So, there is 11 minutes left of this January/February transfer window, and we are still none the wiser of whether West Ham are going to sign Axel Disasi. We do not know currently if what's the word? If it's fallen through, if it's not. And listen, if it comes to it, I'm going to do the roundup show up until 7:30, then I'll come straight back on at 7:30 if it's all still unfolding. That's my that's my promise to you. Joke Sullivan, joke Brady, joke Nuno. You've left me out of that, Michael. Thank you very much. Kind words. But yeah, I cannot disagree with you. It would be interesting to know the dynamic of what's going on here. How much input has Nuno had? Is he fuming at the moment that they haven't signed two defenders and they haven't signed a winger and a midfielder? Or is Nuno happy with this? Is he content with the transfer window we've had? Does he feel that we've rebalanced the squad successfully? Because if he thinks that, then I think there's something not quite right with him, to be honest. But oh, it's mental. It is absolutely mental. And yeah, I'll reiterate what I said about 10 minutes ago. No news is bad news for West Ham because we're not currently having anything from many reputable sources coming out, and that is not good. But Calvin Phillips has gone to Sheffield United. So if that wants to make you feel any better, then you can do so. We are under 10 minutes away. We are under 10 minutes away from the deadline slamming shut. Right here on West Ham unofficial. I will join you until the final minute. That is my dedication to you. Then we'll hop over to the roundup show. So make sure you all join us in there, all 26 of you watching this now. Make sure you head over to the roundup show later. And then I'll be back on after that because we've sandwiched the roundup show in between the deadline shutting, and then we'll have all the reaction, all the analysis from our magnificent pundits coming. So it's not just me droning on. You'll be glad to know from our magnificent pundits after 7:30 this evening. But that is all a little bit later on. Once I've gone and got a drink, to be honest, I might just open up my fridge and have a can of cider, to be honest, because this is what it's driving me to. So you can see my fridge there. Look, you can see it in the mirror. And currently there's cider and milk, and I don't really like drinking milk, so it could be cider, which I get out. It's a Monday, so maybe not, but this is what West Ham drives you to, people. This is what it drives you to. So yeah, we are approaching the 8-minute mark. We are now at 8 minutes to go until the end of the transfer window, and it looks slimmer and slimmer by the second, doesn't it? Um, Oh dear, results are being assessed. We believe that he's signed the sorry, we believe he's passed the medical, but there's still issues with the contract and with the player contract, and he wants more demands that we're willing to give him. And yeah, exactly. Jake, I can't believe we're held a player to ransom. Sorry, we're held to ransom by a footballer who doesn't want to play. Exactly. Only at West Ham. You can imagine it inside some consultation room in Newham Hospital right now, can't you? Sullivan's in his mansion and he's on the phone to the contact and saying, right, Disasi wants 300 grand signing bonus. Sullivan's going, no, we can't have that. We can't have that. And then he's going back, going, all right, 250. No, I'm not giving him that. I'm not giving it. It's a laughing stock. Just give the guy what he wants. We've got this far. He's done a medical. It's all done. Give the bloke what he wants. Honestly, give the bloke what he wants and just get done with it. Because it could be, like, all joking aside, this could be the difference between us staying up and going down. Because I don't want to see Max Kilman anymore at centre back. It's doing my head in. Look, as I said a minute ago, I'd play Souček as centre back over Kilman, but maybe a actual centre back will be better in that position. Graham, you don't need to tell me twice. I'll come to that in a second. I'm just going to have a little look in my internal brain and have a look and see what jokes we have available to us. I also can't speak, read, and think at the same time, so I might have to stop to read these here. But I've got one. Right, are you ready? Are you ready? So we are less than 6 minutes away. I mean, you all could be watching Sky Sports News now. You could be watching, I don't know what the hell's on, any other West Ham channel. They're all on. All the West Ham channels are live tonight, but you've come to me, so thank you very much. And the joke of the evening, with 6 minutes to go, is two peanuts were walking down the street. One was assaulted and salted peanuts. It's brilliant. Honestly, it's absolutely brilliant. And if you don't think that joke was good, then I can't help you. Breaking news, that joke was brilliant. It is desperate. You're right. It is desperate. He comes from Chelsea and probably expects 200 grand a week, and that's where it's all going wrong because Sullivan is not going to give it to him. Is it? Sullivan's not going to give it to him. Right. I think I've refreshed Twitter about 300 times in the last 10 minutes, and we have yet to receive any concrete information from anybody. So this could carry on all through the roundup show, and this could still be romping on at 7:30 when I rejoin you. But look, we'll see. We'll see. It is just the same old rubbish, isn't it? The same old rubbish coming back. Will he? Won't he? Shall he? Shan't he? Who knows at this stage? Whether you can call it asset stripping, I think you can. I think there's a pretty solid case to call it that, or whether it's just him being purely tight, David Sullivan. I don't know, but it is, yeah, it's painful that it's come to this. And as we watch those seconds um, painfully tick by, um, I'm also, it's a metaphor of just us just slowly sinking to the championship, isn't it? But there we are. With a peanut joke like that, expect a roasting from the chat. Very good. Very good, mate. Very good indeed. That is excellent. Absolutely excellent. I'm receiving no updates from anybody. No updates at all. We might be just marginally late to the roundup show. I'll be there at 7 o'clock, but once Sean gets there, it'll be a minute past 7. Right. So what's happening with Sky? So Sky have said Axel Disasi's loan move to West Ham could collapse because of the defender's demands. He has passed a medical. That is starting to be reverberated around the West Ham social media. It's getting its way around, and people are not taking well to it. That is the current latest word we have from a reputable source. It's Kaveh Solokol from Sky Sports News, who has said in the last 10 minutes that Axel Disasi's loan move to West Ham could collapse because of the defender's demands. And as we've said, it's most likely because of money, financial, wages, and all the rest of it. Sounds like the final nail in the coffin. Was that the joke or the lack of signing? Barry, it could be either, to be honest, but I take your point. Absolutely. It could well be the final nail in the coffin. You're absolutely right. And I can't sit here and paint it in a better picture than it is, to be totally honest, because this is the situation that we're in. We're fighting for a centre back who is, who hasn't played for about 3 years, fallen massively out of favour at Chelsea. But bearing in mind, we tried to sign Disasi in the summer, right? We tried to sign him in the summer and he didn't want to come. That's the first red flag. The second red flag today is that he's been a bit slow about it. It seemed like there was a medical book for 9:30, then it was 2 o'clock, then it was 5 o'clock. Doesn't want to come, doesn't he? He's really having to be convinced by his agent or by the club to come, and he clearly doesn't want to fight for first team football that much if he's not jumping at this opportunity to try and keep a team in the Premier League, you know? And that's the man we're signing. That's the man we're desperately trying to acquire in the final 190 seconds of this January transfer window. It's just beggars belief, isn't it? Right, I'm going to end the poll very shortly. So the poll is about to be ended right now on 43 votes. And the final results from our poll in the live chat from everybody watching live is, it's not come through. Where is it? Where is it? Come on. I think it was 73% yes, bad window, and 23% have said a good window. So 77 to 23%. That's actually a little bit more than I thought, to be honest. I actually thought it would be about 90%, 10%. But yeah, there we are. There we are. But look, we'll see. We will see what happens. But hey ho. Right, so it is Jacob Steinberg. In the last couple of minutes, West Ham in deal sheet territory with Disasi right now. Hashtag exciting from Jacob Steinberg. He's a very reputable source. Thank you, Sam, for that. That's greatly appreciated. So we are in deal sheet territory. So we are in the final stages and we are literally taking it down to the wire. It is like a movie, isn't it? It's like it was all set up. Jacob Steinberg is calling it exciting. Now, there are a few, you could argue that Jacob Steinberg leans in a West Ham allegiance every now and then. He could be a West Ham fan, so he's excited by it. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm going to have to leave you there. You will have to wait and see. I will rejoin you after the Premier League Roundup show. I will provide more information of when that'll be after that. But there is 90 seconds to go of this January transfer window. And just to reiterate, the final word we've heard is that this deal is entering deal sheet territory. Basically, it's in the final stages, the final things, the final hurdles are being overcome, and we are not sure whether this countdown is going to end before it's all submitted. There could be an extension. We don't know. There is just over 60 seconds of this January transfer window left. From me, that is it. Thank you for watching. Now, everybody, if you could jump over to the Premier League Roundup show, take your mind off it for half an hour, and then I'll rejoin you back after that. But from me, Come on, you Irons. We've got a minute left of the January transfer window, and at the moment, we are none the wiser to whether Axel Disasi will become a hammer. We will see you soon. Bye bye.